In this simulation, in red color, the settlements are shown, the residents in red color, and in green color, the coconut plantation in seedling stage is shown. So now we are going to start the simulation by giving values for these variables. We will set the initial residence as 10 and the fission sufficiency, that is the sufficiency required to cater another residence, the yield, coconut yield that is required to cater another residence. We will set it as 5. And then the estate area per plantation, we will set that as 5 again. And the yield per plantation, we will set it as 40. Next, we are going to set the field sanitation cost. That the cost this is the cost incurred to keep the plantations tidy. So it will be 10. Then the manuring cost or the fertilizer cost would be 10. All these values are per plantation, and the pest level is 10. The move cost, if we have to abandon a land due to a pest attack that cannot be controlled, it is 10. Then fertility loss that we predict is 30. We set it 30. And to restore the fertility, we don't have any method. Just assume that we are not going to restore the fertility. If the fertility is lost in the land, it's lost forever. And then the bad years, or the number of percentage of years having a bad climate, we will set it as 5. Then we are going to turn on land fragmentation, and then the maximum land that could be abandoned, we will set it as 20. And now we have given all the variables. We are going to set up the variables and run the simulation. Okay, so it stops automatically, and here we can see there are violet colored areas. Those are the areas where the coconut yield or the sufficiency has become 0, and the magenta colored areas show the abundant plantations, the plantations that have been abandoned, but here there is no such area. And white colored areas show the mature coconut plantation, the plantations with mature coconut palms. And the dark green colored areas shows the seedlings, coconut plantations in seedling stage, and the brown colored areas shows the plantation with nuts, with coconuts. So this is the simulation, and you can see in the graph how these plantations of each type are distributed, and the residents, what has happened to the residents. This residents, actually it's an indication of sufficiency, how much it can cater to the how much supply is there to the residents. And then the plantation returns, the average return and the average sufficiency is given. So now we are going to check on the impact of fertility over the sustainability of this coconut cultivation. Now here this simulation has stopped in 65 ticks. It has reached the equilibrium. We are going to check what happens if we can restore the fertility and the fertility loss is 0. So it would be our next run. We are going to set the fertility loss to 0 and then we are going to set the fertility loss to 0 and restoring ability to 50%. And now we are going to again set up the simulation with our new variables and run it. So here what we can understand is that it has not reached the equilibrium like before. So it's the number of residents getting increased means it can cater to more and more number of residents. So the sufficiency has increased. And this brown colored areas shows the coconut cultivation having coconuts. That means those areas, now earlier we didn't see such brown colored areas after the simulation has completed. Now these areas, they are having coconuts more than what we saw before. So we will stop the simulation from here and can observe the amount of coconut palms in different life stages, and as well as the fertility, how the fertility of land has varied with time, and the abundant areas, what has happened to the land that has been abundant, left over due to pest attacks or some other reason, and how this cultivated land has increased. Also, it shows the variation of the settlements. Here, the settlements actually mean it represents the supply, the domestic supply of coconuts, the sufficiency of coconut. And here we can see the returns that the plantations have obtained from the coconut cultivation. So this is the general idea of the simulation of this management of coconut plantations to through sustainability.